Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of This Just In Radio. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. Today, we're broadcasting live from Tampa, Florida, in the Moffitt Cancer Center. We are graciously invited to join the CancerX Leadership Summit and have several other leaders joining the show to launch our new Cancer Innovation Series. Many thanks to Dr. Kamal Jathwani and Dr. Nanish Parikh for their hospitality in making this on-location series happen. This specific Cancer Innovation Series was initially derived from a conversation last October at the health conference in Las Vegas, where I became very optimistic about the strides in cancer care, innovation, and patient outcomes. As we're outlining these episodes, it became even more obvious why we need to tell these encouraging stories about innovation, survivorship, and curing cancer. I hope all of you find these episodes as enlightening and encouraging as me, and I expect to host a follow-on series later this spring, so stay tuned. For this episode, my guests are Joanna Weiss, Chief Financial Officer for Moffitt Cancer Center, and Matthew Bednar, Vice President of Ambulatory and Virtual Care Operations for Moffitt Cancer Center. Thank you, Joanna, for joining us. So from your perspective, what recent advancements in cancer innovation are you most excited about, and why is it meaningful?
You know, I would not pick just one. I am really excited about the innovations that are sort of encompassing the back end and administrative components of cancer care.
Excellent.
And the reason I say that is because those of us who support our clinicians, our researchers, we don't have a way that is directly impactful to the patient. But when we're able to lower our cost of how we do business, that gives us the ability to contribute to the prevention and curing of cancer in a really meaningful way. So if it costs us less money to do the things that we have to do, our financial reporting, budgeting, all those finance type activities, that's just money that we can turn around and put back into our mission. So anything that's going to support that and make us be more efficient and really utilize our people in the very best way, that's what I'm excited about.
I love it. What would you be most encouraged by from a cancer innovation standpoint that you've seen or been a part of? You talk about some of the back end stuff, but is there anything from a cancer innovation or a curing perspective or a survivorship or anything like that you can target?
Yeah, so I just came from CancerX in the summit, and those of you who may not know, my mother just recently passed away in August from cancer. And so much of the supportive care and the things that really make it easier on both the patient and the caregiver, I got really excited listening to that, particularly because it's hard on both.
Yes.
It's hard on both. And so things that would have made it easier for my dad or my aunts or my sister and I to support her journey, anything like that would have been really great in conjunction with making her days on this earth as meaningful as possible. That's really exciting to me.
I love it. And that's exactly where this radio show series came from. Actually, Dr. Jathwani and Parikh, we were at a conference last fall and having it at a reception, and we just talk about, I got excited about some of the talks around the day about innovations that we're making, where AI is going to play a significant role, improving outcomes, and just excitement overall about curing cancer. And then this all kind of cascaded into now we're up here for CancerX and leadership meeting and all these different interviews. So that message is very encouraging because that's actually what I want to talk about. That's the stuff I want to talk about because I want a very encouraging, enlightening message. Cancer is not a death sentence necessarily. There's a lot of optimism, and we can make that journey better, patient satisfaction, make it better on the families as well. There's a lot of innovations happening out there. So, and I'm very sorry for the journey that you went through, but it's exactly why we're here, and I want to start talking about this more. What are you currently working on that you're most passionate about, and how does it connect to improving cancer care or innovation?
So I would say it's a little bit about where I started. So what we're working on as an organization is really thinking about how do we prioritize the allocation of resources to the things that are going to matter the most. So what's going to move our strategy forward in the most practical, most timely way, helping the organization think about that and say, okay, evaluate different opportunities, investments, and just say, okay, how can we really leverage that? And circling that back to your question about moving cancer innovation forward, a key pillar of our strategy is innovation.
Right, absolutely.
So We recognize that cancer care is, of course, taking care of our patients, discovering the cures of tomorrow, but also innovating for a multitude of different reasons. One is to contribute to the prevention and cure of cancer, of course, but the second is it also creates a revenue stream, because we all know in healthcare, margins are tight.
Razor thin.
They are
Absolutely.
razor thin.
Absolutely.
They're constantly under siege. And so if we can look for innovation that is dual-pronged, it makes a difference in someone's life, but also generates revenue for us to
Absolutely.
reinvest back into research.
Right.
It's a double win.
Right. And actually, we're talking about that at our reception and dinner last night, about how, if we can have the right patients in inpatient, the right patients in the outpatient setting, and the right patients that should be at home, the quality of life is better, the outcomes are actually improving, and the right people getting the right care at the right place. And that all is the right financial model for everybody. Everybody wins. It's kind of a quote unquote a no-brainer. So we track on the same page. And obviously, as a CFO, you care dramatically about that as well.
I do.
Let's talk a bit about this Spiros. We have Spiros here in the background for those on video. But what strategic role does the Spiros Outpatient Center in Moffitt's broader approach to cancer care? And then what outcomes do you most focus on achieving through that type of a center investment?
So Spiros is really, in my mind, a couple of different pieces and parts. So you have the land management and what we choose to do with 775 acres. So that's one piece of it.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of it is the actual clinical and research facilities that will be on that campus in conjunction with the new companies that will ultimately be there. So when I think of it in the first part, it's how do we take that land and make the most of it from a collision of all different types of industries and companies, so that you may be sitting next to someone at lunch one day and just strike up a conversation and realize that you have some real synergistic work. That's the first thing that's really exciting and how that can move our strategy forward. The second is from just a pure clinical and discovery component. I'll start with the clinical first. We're moving into an area where the people who live around that Spiros facility, they don't have an easy access to world-class care.
Right.
Like ours.
Right.
So bringing that closer to home, we all know the benefits of care closer to home.
Yep.
And then the third, I would say, which is like a 2A, so to speak, is the discovery. So when you have a 250,000 square foot building on a piece of land, the work that's going to go out there is really transformative. I mean, you have bioengineering and all these really neat things that in world-class space, the things that they're going to do are just really exciting to me. And it's a really great opportunity for Moffitt to become more than a Florida-based organization or even a U.S.-based organization. Right. It really has the opportunity to make us global.
Yeah, and from a goal, part of my audience is global. So when we talk about the Spiros Outpatient Center, it's north of Tampa, the region?
Yes, it is. So if you were to look at the Tampa International Airport and go 20 miles directly north, it's just to the east of that. So it's about 45 minutes from here.
And has ground been broken and all that and everything?
It's live. It is open. It was open as of January 26th.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. I'm going to go check that out in one of our next interviews. So looking into the proverbial crystal ball, what strategy, capability, or shift must Moffitt Cancer Center make to successfully navigate cancer care in 2 to 3 years from now, thinking about innovation or outcomes from that perspective?
Yeah. I don't actually think we need to make a strategic shift. I think that our strategy, we are well poised to do exactly that. We have a really visionary CEO and a board that has gotten behind what he wants to do. And when you think about the 3 pillars of our strategy, again, Moffitt Care, discovery, and innovation with a foundation of really strong accelerators, we're going to do it. And we have identified what we call home runs.
Right.
And making sure that those home runs really come to fruition. I think we have really gotten focused on execution, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. No, great answer. I love it. So our final question, thinking about, we're here today because of the CancerX leadership meeting. What are you most excited about CancerX and what Moffitt contributes there and what they've been able to do to help create it, but what we're going to achieve over the next couple of years with CancerX?
I really love that question. I had not been part of CancerX involved really the last couple of years. I would say that this opportunity today has really shown me what amazing, smart, eager, enthusiastic people who have a personal story that just connects their business to what they want to do. It's really exciting. What I would love to be able to contribute to that is helping those startup companies really see how to pitch to someone in finance.
Right.
Because it's one thing to pitch to somebody who can see the problem, but you have to also be prepared to say, okay, this is my ROI, this is my pricing model, and defend it.
That's right.
And because if you don't get funding, it doesn't help. And so as I've talked with a couple of the people that have stopped me, I'm excited to help them because their ideas are amazing.
Right.
We just need to give them the tools to say, okay, how do we be succinct? How do you articulate value? How do you actually make sure your tool does what it says it's going to do so that you create credibility with the people you're pitching to, and then we're going to be willing to lean in.
Excellent. No, as a CFO, you have a great perspective there. So fantastic. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And now, Matthew Bednar. Matthew, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So from your perspective, what recent advances and innovations in cancer are you most encouraged by, and why is it meaningful?
Yeah, as a non-clinician, I'm going to do my best to sort of speak a little bit like them because I'm constantly around it. But I think it's really at a broad level, precision-based medicine and molecular therapy. So things like CAR T, where we're really using targeted therapies we're shifting away from broad chemotherapy treatments that really sometimes might affect or even damage parts of the body that we don't intend to, but it's what we're trying to do to achieve the results of defeating the cancer. And this amazing research and results that our researchers are doing in buildings like we are in now are producing these therapies that really allow us to target. I almost equate it in the radiation therapy world like proton.
Right.
Proton specifically targets a tumor.
Absolutely.
Versus our Linacs doing broad radiation therapies. So that's how I view really the evolution of these molecular therapies and precision-based medicine therapies that are just now starting to come about. Yeah.
Excellent. So thinking about, where, we've talked a lot about the expertise that Moffitt has in some of these areas. I think you just made me think of this. What do you love about what, your role, but also what Moffitt is achieving? Before we go on to the next question, because you just made me think of that question.
Well, so I look at myself as sort of the blue collar professional because there's so many amazingly smart, genius people that really pursue a Moffitt as their employer because of the amazing things that we're allowed to do and can do, right? So the resources that we provide those people to produce those therapies and do that research. So when I say I'm a blue collar, I'm a blocking and tackling administrator.
Yep.
So for example, we're building a lot of ambulatory campuses. And the whole point of this is to bring that amazing clinical care and research closer to where patients and
critical
families
to their
live,
success.
Right? Yeah. And so when I first started at Moffitt 8 years ago, the CEO at the time asked me as part of a strategic plan that we were building what I thought of one of the pillars at the time, which was expanding our brand. And I shared with him my thoughts. And I said, if we really feel like we're one of the best cancer centers in the world, and we are, then we need to be further out than just this campus where we are now. And so since that time, we've built almost 250,000 square feet of ambulatory space, in addition to the new hospital that we have, the solid tumor hospital.
Yep.
But what that's done most excitingly is it's brought everything that we can do well within miles of where patients live. One of our campuses that we just opened in January of last year, so it's right at a year old, we approximated eliminates about an hour and a half to 2 hours of driving time for people that live south of the Ruskin area, which is in the South Hillsborough area of our market. So that alone, the satisfaction that comes alongside that, because there's so much stress and anxiety that is associated with the disease, in addition to all the health impacts, et cetera, that for us to deliver care, provide us a place for infusions and radiation, and seeing their physician, having their blood drawn, those things closer to where they live.
Right.
What a slam dunk win.
That's fantastic. I think this dovetails into my next question very well then. What are you currently working on that you're most passionate about, and how does it improve cancer care or outcomes? And you kind of just answered it in a way.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that, right? So it's healthcare, whether you're in geriatrics, pediatrics, which is, I've done those things, and then cancer care, it's all about access.
Right.
We all know that,
right? Absolutely.
Right? We're patients.
Yes.
And a classic phrase in healthcare is that the demand is overwhelming the supply. And that's probably just going to get harder as we get older.
Absolutely.
Less and less people are going into med school. They're projecting a nursing shortage into the future as well. So
Absolutely.
How do we create access that is outside the box? So for example, we started a virtual care service in 2018. Many places have, so we're not alone in that. But I think where we are alone is we'll do over 70,000 visits this year in virtual care. Mm-hmm. And I think that the reality of that is we do very acute care at a Moffitt, right? And so it's not easy stuff always that we're doing virtually, but we've accomplished that. And again, it's fantastic access, instant access, easy access for our patients and their families. And that's all in addition to what I've talked about, and that's building these campuses closer to where people.
No, very impressive. And I think this, again, dovetails. This is all great because it dovetails into my next question.
Yep.
What strategic role does your new Spiros Outpatient Center play in Moffitt's broader approach to cancer care? But then also, what do you hope it achieves in the coming years?
Yeah, so it's going to check the standard box of, again, bringing those services, right, closer to where people live, providing a location that's easier to get to. But I think when you think of Spiros more broadly, coming from the Orlando area and thinking of the Lake Nona medical campus, which I think is a model that we can at least compare it to from a vision standpoint, it's being able to say to these companies around the world, these innovation companies around the world, like, come and call Tampa home. Right. Come and work with us. Yeah. We want to be the smallest tenant on that campus. Right. We want everyone else, think about all these healthcare innovation companies and technology companies in the space that we want them to say, come call Spiros home so that we can work together to create those therapies, create those innovations, partner to bring those advanced methods of care to the patients and their families. So that's, in a broad way, it's broad, but in a broad way, that's where I see the campus in 5, 10, 15 years.
That's fantastic. Now. No, and I think even in Dr. Jithwani's show yesterday, an episode, we talked about how, survivability does have a lot to do with access. Right. And getting the right care at the right time. And that's exactly what you're doing on a daily basis. So prevention, right? We're just really starting to talk about the prevention space. Not that it's always been a part of our mission, but I think it's more about how can we utilize these locations to bring preventative care front and center for our patients and families too. Yeah, and there's a lot of stats running around, and we've heard a lot of great stuff in the last couple of days of recording, but 40% of cancers can be cured or even staved off by prevention. So, yeah. And I think, I was thinking about this while walking over. I feel like society is just becoming more and more educated on health. Yeah. Right? I mean, we're seeing it in trends relative to lung cancer as a result of smoking. We're seeing all the articles about alcohol, and what it's showing to do to our bodies. Absolutely. And so, and we're seeing in the trends of decreases in consumption that the population is really taking those examples to heart. Yep. And how is that going to contribute to what we're trying to achieve here, which is to cure cancer? Yeah, and Dr. Wu brought up how you guys even have a food center here, and a food kitchen, and I applaud you for that, because I didn't know that going into this conversation, but I know how important food is, and I've strictly watched my diet and alcohol intake and everything else. That's right. For prevention, and long-term health. But I applaud you guys, and so obviously that's a big piece of what you do too. Yeah, I was just reading about UPFs, ultra processed foods. Absolutely, and it's amazing what that list is. Yeah, because it's in every cupboard at home, right? Yeah, it's in every Ironically, I was reading about it yesterday. Yeah, even I hate to say it, but Kraft macaroni and cheese and these things that people have in their shelves, which are horrible for your body. That's right. Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about how can we, not to come across disrespectful in a sense, but how do we educate our patients? Absolutely. To be better patients, right? Because it's always, want to be. It's a 50-50, Absolutely. It's a relationship. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. A lot of people for years have talked about how our industry is a reactive based industry. Right. And we really want to be, and we want our patients to be more proactive. And that's where the prevention part of our mission comes into play. Absolutely. And in the last minute or so, quick question, proverbial crystal ball, what do you see as a strategy, capability, or shift that Moffitt can do or should do to navigate cancer care in 2 to 3 years from now?
Yeah, I think it's continuing to invest in these precision-based medicines. I really,
It's great.
from a layman perspective, a non-clinical perspective, the results have been amazing. And the progress that those researchers and clinicians have made investing in those types of treatments have just been, Dr. Hu, our CEO, will talk about it, in his podcast. The progress that we've made over the last 5-10 years is so much in contrast to what was done in the prior 20 or 30 years. And so you have to imagine that at Moffitt and other places like us, that research is going to continue, and we're just going to see leaps and bounds in terms of progress, combined again with the investment in education, right, and prevention, and educating our patients through things like virtual care, when to utilize us, can we bring chemotherapies into the home environment? So again, contributing to that access of care, which we're talking actively about as well. So as I think about it, as someone who's soon to be 50, I think about my parents who are in their late 70s and 80s now, but it's only going to get better for those of us that are at the ages where I am. Assuming that we also do our part in taking care of.
Yeah, I'm 53, so I completely agree with you.
Yeah, right.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah, and I think you didn't ask, but the CancerX part here is amazing.
Yes.
And we're working with a graduate group from the CancerX pipeline last year. And I think that if I had to talk to the CancerX participants, what I would say to them is, if you're going to work with a Moffitt, that's an academic, research-based teaching organization that provides amazing care. We're traditionalists by nature. We don't move as fast as you do.
Right.
So what I would say to you is come prepared to help shore up some of those inefficiencies so that we can work together in a really fast, quick way and revolutionize and evolve, the level of care that we're able to provide now.
I love it. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Great.
you, man.
Thanks.
Well, that's a wrap from Tampa and the Moffitt Cancer Center and CancerX. Thank you all for listening, and I certainly want to offer a note of gratitude to the leaders of CancerX, Moffitt Cancer Center, Advocate Health, Fred Hutch, Amazon Web Services, Rush, and other leading cancer centers, life science organizations, and technology. Together, these voices provide a comprehensive view of how collaboration between providers, researchers, and industry is shaping the next decade of oncology innovation. And a special note of thanks to Jake Reed, my head of media. Jake did a phenomenal job managing this remote podcast and also keeping all of us on track. And as always, a big thank you to all my listeners. We're grateful for you, and you make us better with every broadcast. And please stay tuned in weekdays as we broadcast at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. As always, you can find me at LinkedIn at Justin T. Barnes or track me on Twitter at HIT Advisor and use the hashtag #ThisJustinRadio so you can respond to your comments from the show. If you miss any part of this broadcast, all of my This Justin Radio shows are posted on Amazon Music, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and the TuneIn platforms. And also check out the content we published in the new Thought Leadership page at justinbarnes.com. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.